No, okay, put your clothes on and go home.
This that dog. This my blood. For my blood.
We don't like that. Go home, baby.
Justice for Kenneka.
Justice for Kenneka, but yes, baby, this is not how you get it.
That's you good. Peace, we still please me, but I plead the blood on you.
Can I see my daughter? How she died, you know, how she laid in the freezer. As you know, I wanted to see her. He said, the detective stated yes. An hour or two went past, give or take. The sergeant come in with a very rude attitude. No, you cannot see her. It's against our procedures, our policy. You can't see her.
Okay, no, don't get mad, but I'm just proving myself that I'm not crazy. All my life, I said I was going to be rich. I spoke it into existence. And I'm not saying this because of that, because I knew it was either I was going to get rich, saving my peoples, so I could help my peoples. Y'all didn't know. When y'all gave me that money, I deposited my money in the bank. I paid off other folks' bills, and I rent an apartment. But I sent $50. Some people got mad at me. I sent the $500 one time. Then they gonna call me back like I'm a clucker. See.
September 2017. A 19-year-old woman walks into a hotel for a party and never walks out alive. Her body is discovered nearly 24 hours later inside a walk-in freezer. And the official story says accident. But her mother, Tereasa Martin, refuses to stay silent. In November 2025, 8 years after burying her daughter, she breaks a legal silence imposed by a $10 million settlement and posts on Facebook, "To whom this may concern, I still don't know what happened to my child's life. Clothes, shoes, cell phone, hair, and the list goes on. However, I have been promised lies, as if once this case is over, I was forced to never talk about my child again." That message, raw and desperate, reignited questions about a case that law enforcement closed as an accident, but that a grieving mother insists was something far more sinister. If you're already hooked and you want to dive deeper into stories like this that demand justice, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Crime Lab Report and smash that bell icon hard, because missing out means these cases stay in the shadows longer than they should, and we can't let that happen. Kenneka Jenkins was born and raised on the south side of Chicago, a young black woman with her whole life ahead of her. She lived with her mother, Tereasa Martin, and was described by family as fun-loving, social, and full of energy.
When the only time you can get your daughter to come get in the bed with you, when you got food. That's it. That's the only time. Look at it, y'all. Freeloading. Only time you get your... See, Kenneka. Your knee. Look at her. Look at her. Let them see your plate. Come on, our mom. She on here nothing. Come on, Kenneka. Let Facebook see.
She had dreams like any teenager, turning into an adult, navigating friendships, work, and figuring out her place in the world. Chicago's South Side, where Kenneka grew up, is a tight-knit community, but also one that has seen its share of tragedy and violence, making families fiercely protective of their own. Kenneka was close with her mother, and that bond would become critical as events unfolded that would shatter their world. On the night of September 8, 2017, Kenneka made plans to attend a party at the Crowne Plaza Chicago O'Hare Hotel in Rosemont, Illinois, a suburb just outside the city. The hotel, a large, multi-story establishment near the airport, was hosting what was supposed to be a typical party in a rented room on the 9th floor. Kenneka went with friends, excited for a night out. She arrived at the hotel around 1:13 in the morning on September 9th. The party was crowded, loud, filled with young people looking to have a good time. But within hours, that night would take a turn no one could have predicted. Around 1:30 to 2 in the morning, friends at the party noticed Kenneka sitting on the floor in a hotel room, looking disoriented and out of sorts. She wasn't acting like herself. Some said she seemed drunk. Others thought she looked confused or upset. The details are murky because everyone at that party had been drinking and memories get fuzzy, but what's clear is that Kenneka was not in a good state. By approximately 3:20 in the morning, her friends realized she was gone. They searched the hotel room, checked the hallways, called her phone. Nothing. Panic started to set in. Where did she go? How could she just disappear in a hotel full of people? At around 4 in the morning, Kenneka's friends made the call that would change everything. They contacted her mother, Tereasa Martin, to tell her that Kenneka was missing. Imagine getting that call in the middle of the night. Your daughter went to party, and now no one can find her. What would you do next? Tereasa Martin didn't waste a second. She arrived at the Crowne Plaza Hotel around 5 in the morning, frantic, demanding answers. She went straight to the front desk, told them her daughter was missing somewhere in this building, and asked them to review the security footage immediately. You'd think that would be standard procedure, right? A teenager missing in your hotel. You check the cameras, you search the premises, you call the police. But that's not what happened. Hotel staff were slow to respond, dismissive even, and Tereasa felt like she was hitting a brick wall. She kept pushing, kept asking, but hours dragged by with no real action. Can you imagine standing there, knowing your child is somewhere in that building, possibly hurt, possibly in danger, and no one is moving fast enough to help you find her? It wasn't until 1:15 in the afternoon on September 9th, over 12 hours after Kenneka went missing, that police were finally called to the hotel. 12 hours. Let that sink in for a moment. By the time law enforcement arrived and started taking the situation seriously, Kenneka had been missing for nearly half a day. Officers began reviewing surveillance footage, and what they found was chilling. The video showed Kenneka walking alone to the hotel hallways in the early morning hours, visibly unsteady on her feet. She was stumbling, using the walls for support, clearly disoriented. She was wearing jeans and a jean jacket, the same clothes she'd worn to the party. The footage captured her wandering through different areas of the hotel, seeming lost, confused, like she didn't know where she was going or how to get back. Watching that video, you can't help but think, where was the hotel staff? Where were the cameras that should have caught someone checking on this young woman, who was obviously not okay? The search continued through the day and into the night. Police, hotel staff, and Kenneka's family combed through the building floor by floor. And then, around 12:30 in the morning on September 10th, nearly 24 hours after Kenneka was last seen by her friends, her body was found. She was inside a walk-in freezer in a kitchen area of the hotel, a place guests should never have been able to access. The news hit Tereasa Martin like a freight train. Her daughter, the girl she'd been searching for desperately, was dead, frozen in a commercial kitchen freezer. The initial reaction from law enforcement was that this appeared to be a tragic accident. Kenneka had somehow wandered into the freezer in her intoxicated state and couldn't get out. But Tereasa wasn't buying it. She demanded to see where her daughter had been found, to understand how this could have happened. At first, police denied her request, citing policy and procedure. They told her she couldn't view the scene. But Tereasa pushed back hard. She went live on Facebook, documenting everything, making it clear she was conscious, coherent, and demanding answers.
So that's a good question. I really wouldn't.
So you don't know who?
You're not for sure.
I'm not for sure.
Right.
But you actually, they brought you to see Kenneka while she was in the freezer.
After being denied at first, because I asked them, and I went online on Facebook because I needed help. I was looking for help, and I started timing myself basically to let them know, just in case if something like this come up, they couldn't say that I wasn't, conscious enough.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
right,
Like I was like
right.
out of my mind or whatever.
Right.
And I stated, because I had made a post on Facebook before that, when I was in search of Kenneka, that I needed help. If somebody see my daughter, to inform me. And after I made this live video, I re-entered the hotel, and I asked them, how was she laying? The head detective, how was she laying? He stated she was laying on her side. And I said, was she laying, how was her legs? Was they curved, like in a fetal position? Yes. He said, no, they were straight. I said, okay. Next question. Can I see my daughter? How she died? How she laid in the freezer? As I wanted to see her. He said, the detective stated yes. An hour or two went past, give or take. The sergeant come in with a very rude attitude. No, you cannot see her. It's against our procedures, our policy. You can't see her. So I asked him, with the card that the leading detective gave me, is it possible that he can put his name on the back of the card? He stated yes. After he stated yes, I said, and as well as your badge number. And I hear him whisper to the detective, badge number. So then he said, as everybody getting ready to round up to go, he said, you know what? Hold on, I'm gonna speak with the coroners and see what they can do. So here we go, hours later. 5 hours, maybe a little bit more, but rounding it off, 5 hours later, they come to me and states, only I could come see her. Me, I'm allowed, and I could bring one more other person with me. That's when they allowed me. They walked us back there. They said, wait, this is a crime scene. You are not allowed to take any photos. You can't touch, and don't touch anything. And they watched us as if we was there. Like we was involved in it. It seemed like the crime scene was on us, not what went on with my daughter.
Right. So you see your daughter in the freezer. Now, to bring up to date.
I'm sorry. No, at this time, they had removed her from the freezer. I asked them. Yes, they removed her from the freezer. When they removed her from the freezer, by the time we came 5 hours or plus later, later, rounding it off, Kenneka was laying on a stretcher in a white body bag already.
So you never saw her?
I never saw her. I never saw her. They stated as well that there was no signs of foul play.
Right.
Like it was just a normal look.
That's what they said.
No signs of sexual harassment or anything.
Right. So do you believe differently?
From seeing the pictures, yes, I believe different.
Because the pictures came out. Before that, though, the video came out. So when we saw the video of her trying to find her way throughout the hotel, what did you think about the videos?
That she was wandering in the hotel and she needed help. And, she had a hotel, a 5-star hotel.
Right.
I know it was surveillance. Just like on each floor, they might not have cameras all through the hotel, but entering and exiting the elevator, there are cameras.
But it is her on the camera because, like I said, so many conspiracy theories. Some people said that's not even her on the video. You do believe it was your daughter on the video?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe they're saying that in one part of the video when she's walking towards the refrigerator, that's her last time being shown on videotape? So do you believe she could have just literally walked in there and got locked into the freezer? And what they're saying to be true is she got locked into the freezer and she died because of the coldness. Do you think that could be true?
Well, see, we wouldn't even be sitting here today to guess it. It was the camera. As we went in there, if you could look at the video, me and my daughter, which is some of the parts what we did, as we went in there, I'm looking at my daughter, and I looked in her face. She had a disgusted look on her face. That's an angry look, or somebody agitating her, this type of look. So I'm looking, and then I asked them, I said, can I see the freezer? Because I work in the cafeteria. So you can't tell me that she walked in this freezer and couldn't get out. Because of our freezers, and not only that, me working within the CPS, cafeterias, before, every freezer has a release button or some type of handle, whereas you can't get locked in this freezer unless you've been locked on the outside. You get locked in from the outside.
Which would have taken, obviously, somebody else to do purposely.
Right.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what you're saying.
Yes.
There's no way she could lock herself in by herself.
Exactly. So once entering, and I see the freezer. Now, the leading detective stated to me, she just walked in the freezer. Mm-hmm. This is before I told him I worked within the cafeteria.
Right.
She walked in the freezer, and when she walked in the freezer, she walked in. He never mentioned it was a double freezer. Walked in the freezer, closed the door behind herself, and just froze to death.
Right.
So, I wanted to see it.
Yeah.
I said, so she couldn't get out? He said, no, she couldn't get out. Because once you locked in, you locked in.
Right. But he doesn't know what you know about freezers at that time.
Exactly.
Right.
Did you go into the actual freezer that your daughter was in? Did you try to see what your the theory, how you can get out of it if you're in that particular freezer?
Okay, well, I'll tell you like this. We wasn't ever to actually go inside their freezer, but they had both of the doors open. I asked them when I first went back there, so you're saying it's a double freezer? He said, yes, but on our way back there, if you can see in the video, I'm pointing my finger. I'm looking for cameras, I'm looking for cameras because that's my purpose, because you can't tell me this happened with no camera in around, you know, and every time I point, I see a camera. Except when we go by the freezer, that's like blocked off, which it was a camera above that freezer. And, okay, we're going to go back to that. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. When I go back to the freezer, they had both of the doors open, and I'm like, here go a glow-in-the-dark plastic release button, big white glow-in-the-dark. I said, so is this a release button? He said, the detective said, yes. And the sergeant standing back there with us as well. As I said, we were being watched as if we're the criminal, you know, right. we did this to my daughter.
She asked the detective's badge number, and suddenly attitudes changed. After making her wait another 5 hours, they finally agreed to let her see the area where Kenneka had been found. Thing about that, your child is dead in a freezer, and they make you wait 5 more hours just to see the location. How would you hold it together? When Tereasa finally got back to that kitchen area, Kenneka had already been removed from the freezer. Her body was on a stretcher, sealed in a white body bag. Tereasa never got to see her daughter as she was found, but what she did see raised more questions than answers. The freezer had double doors, and both were standing open when she arrived. Inside each door was a large, white, glow-in-the-dark release button. Tereasa worked in cafeterias for Chicago public schools. She knew exactly what those buttons were for. Every commercial freezer in the country is required by law to have an internal release mechanism so that if someone gets trapped inside, they can push the button and get out. It's a basic safety feature designed to prevent exactly this kind of tragedy. So here's the question that haunts this case. If those release buttons were there, clearly visible, glow in the dark, how did Kenneka Jenkins freeze to death? Tereasa asked the detective that exact question. He told her that once Kenneka walked into the freezer and the door closed behind her, she was locked in and couldn't get out. But that directly contradicts the existence of those release buttons. Either the detective didn't understand how the freezer worked, or something else was going on. Tereasa pointed to buttons and asked if they were release mechanisms. The detective confirmed yes, they were. So which is it? Was Kenneka too intoxicated to push a button? Did she pass out immediately upon entering? Or was there something preventing her from using those safety features? We need to talk about what the official investigation found, because this is where things get even more complicated. The Cook County Medical Examiner performed an autopsy and ruled Kenneka's death an accident. The cause of death was hypothermia, with contributing factors being alcohol intoxication and a drug called topiramate in her system. Topiramate is a medication used to treat epilepsy and migraines, and when combined with alcohol, it can significantly increase impairment. Kenneka's blood alcohol level was 0.112, which is above the legal driving limit. The official theory was that she wandered into the kitchen area in her intoxicated state, somehow accessed a freezer, went inside, and the door closed behind her. Unable to escape due to her level of impairment, she succumbed to hypothermia. Case closed, accident, tragic, but not criminal. But does that explanation actually hold up when you look at the details? Let's walk through what bothers people about this case. First, the surveillance footage shows Kenneka walking through hallways, but there's no footage of her actually entering the freezer. The kitchen area where she was found had cameras everywhere. Tereasa pointed them out as she walked through. But conveniently, the area right around the freezer had no clear camera coverage, or the footage was never released. That had a massive gap in the timeline. Second, how did Kenneka access a kitchen area that should have been secured? This wasn't a public space. It was a restricted area where only staff should have been. Third, and this is the big one, the freezer had safety release buttons inside. Even if Kenneka was heavily intoxicated, those buttons are designed to be simple to use in an emergency. You push them and the door opens from the inside. So why didn't she push them? Theories range from she passed out too quickly to even try, to she was so disoriented she didn't understand where she was or what was happening. Some experts mention something called paradoxical undressing, a phenomenon where people experiencing severe hypothermia feel hot and start removing clothing. When Kenneka was found, her shirt under her jacket was pulled up, exposing her chest, which some say could be evidence of paradoxical undressing. But Tereasa doesn't accept any of these explanations. She believes someone else was involved, that her daughter didn't just wander into that freezer alone. She points to the fact that Kenneka's cell phone was never returned to the family, that her belongings went missing, that the hotel took 12 hours to even start looking for her. What if a faster response could have saved her life? The family filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the Crowne Plaza Hotel, the security company, and others involved. The lawsuit alleged negligence on multiple fronts: failing to secure the kitchen area, allowing an unauthorized party to happen, not responding quickly enough when Kenneka was reported missing, and not thoroughly reviewing security footage in a timely manner. In December 2023, 6 years after Kenneka's death, the case was settled for $10 million. Court documents indicated that defendants were found negligent in several areas, though they never admitted criminal wrongdoing. $10 million sounds like justice, but for Tereasa Martin, it felt like anything but. That brings us to November 2025, when Tereasa broke her silence with that Facebook post we started with. She claimed she was tricked into accepting the settlement, that she was told she could never talk about her daughter again, and that she was pressured during negotiations while battling cancer. She says she still doesn't have answers about what happened to Kenneka's clothes, her phone, her belongings. She feels like the truth was buried along with her daughter. And then, just weeks after that post, something deeply troubling happened. A video went viral showing Tereasa walking to the streets of Chicago unclothed, in freezing temperatures, shouting about justice for Kenneka. It was heartbreaking to watch, a mother so consumed by grief and unanswered questions that she appears to be experiencing a mental health crisis. This case hasn't just taken Kenneka's life. It's slowly destroying her mother too. So where does that leave us? Officially, this case is closed. Kenneka Jenkins died of hypothermia in an accidental tragedy fueled by alcohol and medication. But unofficially, in the hearts of her family and in the minds of thousands who followed this case online, it remains unsolved. There are too many gaps, too many unanswered questions, too much that doesn't add up. How does a teenager end up dead in a freezer that had safety mechanisms designed to prevent exactly that? Why was there no camera footage of the most critical moments? Why did the hotel wait so long to help search for her? And what happened to her personal belongings? Here's what I want you to think about. What drives a person keep fighting for answers even when the legal system says the case is closed? How would you cope if this happened to someone you love and you felt like the truth was being kept from you? And at what point does grief transform from something internal into something that breaks you publicly? Drop your thoughts in the comments because this conversation matters. If this case moved you, if you think Tereasa Martin deserves real answers, share this video right now. Make sure you're subscribed to Crime Lab Report so you don't miss when we uncover more cases that demand justice. Hit that bell so you're notified the second we post, and check out our other videos where we dive even deeper into cases the system tried to forget. Keep the conversation going, keep demanding accountability, because that's how we make sure stories like Kenneka Jenkins are never forgotten